What's up, Raptors fans? Welcome to the Warriors Report. We got some big and exciting news to break down for you today. So we got a little bit of information regarding the Raptors and their plans for this year's NBA trade deadline. There's been a lot of questions about whether the Raptors would be buyers or sellers come this NBA trade deadline. There's been a lot of discussion about that. But we got some news to break down for you for today's video. So if you guys are ready to watch this video, make sure to mutilate that like button. Make sure to hit the subscribe button. I'm going to be coming out with a lot more Raptors trade deadline content this coming week, so it's going to be a very fun and exciting times as a Raptors fan, guys. So let's get into today's video. Now, as you guys know, I do like to give out shout outs on my channel. So for today's video, the shout out goes out to Azan Perdan. So I'm sorry if I've mispronounced your name, but Azan, thank you so much for supporting this channel, to your likes and comments. Now let's break down some news we got regarding the Raptors. Now the first one was huge because this was reported by Red Siegel, and shout out to Rap City. They're always posting some awesome and quick news regarding the Raptors, but the Raptors are looking to add talent via trades. Now, this one shouldn't really come as a surprise because a lot of people were saying early in the season, even lately, I mean, considering that the Raptors have lost a few games here and there, kind of gone down in the standings, but the Raptors, when you take a look at the roster, we got a lot of talent there, and it just doesn't make sense to blow it up. Well, I know a lot of people may have suggested that we build around Gary Trent Jr., Scottie, and OG, but I think the talent we have right now, it's honestly perfect. Now, let's discuss the next big one, is that the Raptors are willing to give up future assets, such as first and second round picks, to address immediate needs. Now, this was, the source is Josh Lewenberg. Now, this one's very interesting. Again, shout out to Rap City, but this one's very interesting because I touched upon this in a few videos ago where I talked about giving up potentially second round picks for assets, right? Because the Raptors, as the roster is currently set up, we have very young guys in David Johnson, Justin Champagnie, Delano Banton. I know we have Malachi Flynn, who's definitely struggled as well, but we got Scottie Barnes. We got a lot of youth on this team, and as I talked about for my reasons of why I would trade second round picks, I think you have to take into consideration that second round picks normally take a long time to develop. Now, I know I mentioned Scottie and Malachi, they're both first round picks, but we also have Precious Achiuwa as well. He's a former first round pick as well, but we just have so much young talent that we need to develop on this team. And we have some really good guys like, Gary Trent Jr., who, look, he is developing as well. And then we obviously have Fred and Pascal, but it just doesn't make sense to continuously add second round picks. They're taking up roster space, and we've seen that it's kind of affecting the Raptors bench, right? So obviously these guys, young guys, are still developing, which you need patience for, which is great. But then you also realize that they can't contribute right away, and it's going to be several years down the road, several seasons down the road where they develop properly. I don't think the Raptors have the patience for that. So I think they're probably going to take the second round picks and trade them away. But this is a little bit surprising. The first round picks, considering that the Raptors love to develop talent within their own system, right? So we know Raptors organization definitely has a lot of struggle, we would say, signing free agents, really good free agents. So normally what the Raptors usually do is just develop their first round picks and hope they become better. But look, if the Raptors want to trade their first round pick, obviously Masai Ujiri and Bobby Webster see something in this Raptors roster. So personally, I'm really excited. We'll have to wait and see what the Raptors do. Obviously, this indicates that they are buyers. And we also have to talk about this tweet from Brett Siegel. Now, this is sources tell Hoop Analysis Net, that the Toronto Raptors could look to leverage second-year guard Malachi Flynn in trade talks leading up to the trade deadline. Goran Dragic obviously remains someone they would like to trade, but the Raptors are looking to add talent via trades. Now, personally, I don't know how to feel about this. Like, I know people are going to hate on Malachi Flynn. Obviously, his dad has gone off in the Raptors post. The Raptors group's just going off that his son isn't getting minutes. And look, Malachi Flynn has definitely struggled. I'm not opposed to trading him. I just think he has a lot of talent. I feel like you trade a player when his value is high, not at his lowest, right? So again, if a team out there is crazy enough to take Malachi Flynn and accept a few first round picks or something, second round picks for a good bench piece, I would definitely do that trade. Don't get me wrong. I just think the Raptors should develop Malachi Flynn more. And I know he's having a tough season. He's hit his sophomore slump, as we like to call it. But now Goran Dragic, this one's fairly obvious. He doesn't fit in with the team, and he's very likely going to be moved. And if I'm the Raptors, honestly, I attach a second round pick and get a decent bench piece, because I don't know what the Raptors will be expecting in a Goran Dragic return. I don't know how much of a market there will be for someone like him, considering he hasn't played the entire season. So this one isn't really surprising with the Malachi Flynn. A lot of fans, you guys have talked about this as well, but it's going to be a fun and exciting time come the trade deadline, because the Raptors roster is set right now. When we take a look at their draft picks through the next 6 seasons, you see that they have all of their first round draft picks, which is awesome, but they also have most of their second round draft picks as well. So they have a lot of draft picks. In total, they have a total of 12 draft picks in the next 6 seasons. And look, the Raptors roster, you have 15 players plus two-way players, right? So the Raptors have their core locked in for a decent amount besides Gary Trent Jr. So you can't technically keep adding young players to this roster. We have a group of amazing young talent on this roster. Let them develop. I'm not saying to trade away all of your picks. I just think the talent is there and you can continuously keep adding so much young talent. So I'm not opposed to giving up first round picks. The only thing I would say about that is you only throw in those first round picks if you're getting someone that makes your team a lot better, right? You don't just trade a first round pick for a really good bench player. I don't think that necessarily makes sense. It's someone that could really have a positive impact on the Raptors. Like a starting caliber center, I would probably throw in a first round pick. But just in terms of throwing away first round picks for the sake of the trade, I don't think that makes sense. And I know Masai Ujiri wouldn't do that. We've only thrown in first round picks for guys like Marc Gasol and Kawhi Leonard, as far as I remember, right? So it doesn't necessarily make sense to throw away first round picks just for bench pieces. It would have to be someone that has a really huge impact on the Raptors, and that kind of takes them a little bit over the hump. So that's personally my take on giving up first round picks. Second round picks, it doesn't bother me giving up second round picks for bench players. I think that makes a lot of sense to give up second round picks for the reasons I've highlighted. But when you talk about the NBA trade deadline, obviously there are certain names that have been linked to the Raptors. Miles Turner, we know, has been linked to the Raptors. There's mixed reaction, from the Raptors fan base on what we'd have to give up and how he'd fit in with the team. Obviously, he's a great shot blocker. He's someone who can stretch the floor. Now, obviously, he's had that foot injury, which kind of changes everything. And that is not something you necessarily want in your big man, considering, what, foot injuries or any sort of knee issues with big man is a very big issue. And normally in the history of the NBA, when we normally have seen big men with those kind of injuries, they usually lead to more injuries and not really, it's not really something you want your big man to have because they could be potentially career ending. So we'll wait and see. Again, not saying the Raptors should. Those are just some of the names that the Raptors have been linked to. Well, obviously, Miles Turner, we've obviously heard Karis LeVert as well. But just in terms of what the Raptors will do in this NBA trade deadline, it'll be exciting. Obviously, Goran Dragic is very likely to be moved. We'll have to see what happens with him and maybe Chris Boucher as well. But it'll be interesting to see if the Raptors actually add a starting center because we know the Raptors lineup of Gary Trent, Fred VanVleet, Scottie Barnes, OG, and Pascal Siakam, they've been kind of going with this lineup throughout the seasons. And they've kind of just experimented this entire offseason. We saw with these 6'8", 6'9" guys we kept signing and just essentially having a starting five that can guard multiple positions and just rotate on defense. Now, obviously, Masai did that because we saw Marc Gasol get absolutely exposed in that Celtics series where they kept putting him in pick and roll. So obviously, Masai did that for a reason. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with the Raptors starting centers if they get one, who goes to the bench. Those are just some of the questions that you would have or concerns you would have. Obviously, that's taking into consideration that we keep our starting five together and acquire a center on top of that. So we'll have to wait and see what the Raptors do come the NBA trade deadline. It's going to be a very fun and exciting NBA trade deadline because a lot of us thought that they might be sellers. They may sell some pieces, but I'm excited. I want the Raptors to compete. I think they're a great team. I think they're a center away from being a legitimate fifth seed, if not higher. I know that may be a bold take. I've said that the entire season that I see the Raptors being up there. They've had their injuries. They've had their COVID protocols, but I think the Raptors are a very, very talented team. So we'll have to wait and see what happens when we get closer to the NBA trade deadline. But I do want to hear from you guys. What do you think about this news? Are you willing to part with some first round picks or some second round picks for some significant talent or just to add some bench pieces? What would you like the Raptors to do come NBA trade deadline? Let me know in the comment section below. And I do have a trivia question for you guys today. Now, this trivia question is a little bit tricky, so I know it's tempting to Google it, but try to guess who this player is. So the Raptors traded for this player who is averaging 15 points and 6.8 rebounds. Who is this player? Is it A, Serge Ibaka? Is it B, Marc Gasol? Is it C, Sean Marion? Or is it D, Jermaine O'Neal? So obviously these are trade deadlines, or these are trades that have happened in the past with the Raptors. So which one of these players is it? So let me know in the comment section below, and whoever answers this trivia question correctly first gets a shout out in my next video, guys. So I want to thank you guys for watching this video. You guys can follow me on Instagram as The Warj Report. Twitter is WarjDa. Make sure to leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. And as always, guys, I really do appreciate you guys watching this video. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope you guys have yourselves a great day.